Most of us will never face a day where we genuinely don't know if we'll eat, where the wrong decision, the wrong path through the wrong valley, means we don't come home, where the people we love are not guaranteed to survive the winter, where everything we've built can be gone by morning. That was the baseline. That was just a Tuesday. For the vast majority of human existence, life looked nothing like what we have now. No schedules, no safety net, no certainty, just the day ahead of you and whatever you could do with it. So what did they actually do? Not in the dramatic Hollywood sense, not hunting mammoths every morning and painting caves every evening. What did a real day look like? The ordinary, unglamorous stretch of hours that most of our ancestors lived through day after day for hundreds of thousands of years. Stay with this, because the answer says a lot about who we are, and maybe more importantly, how close we came to not being here at all. We're going back roughly 300,000 years. Our species, Homo sapiens, has only just appeared on the planet. We're in Africa, specifically the grasslands, forests and coastlines of what is now Ethiopia, Morocco, South Africa. The world looks familiar and completely alien at the same time. There are recognizable landscapes, rivers, open plains, dense woodland, but there are also animals we don't see anymore. Giant buffalo, cave hyenas, saber-toothed cats in some regions, predators that have no reason to be afraid of us. And critically, we are not alone. There are other human species sharing this planet. Neanderthals are living in Europe and Western Asia. Homo erectus has already been around for nearly 2 million years. Denisovans roam parts of Asia. The world has multiple versions of human, and none of them are guaranteed to be the last one standing. Our ancestors don't know any of this, of course. They have no concept of evolution, no sense of geological time. They know their group, their territory, their season. That's what matters. And within that small world, life has a rhythm. The day starts before sunrise, not because anyone sets an alarm, but because sleeping too long when there are predators around is a risk. The group, usually somewhere between 20 and 50 people, wakes up in stages. Children first, often, then adults slowly. Fire, if there is one, gets attention immediately. Keeping it alive is one of the most valuable things anyone can do. At this point in human prehistory, we can control fire. We've been doing so for hundreds of thousands of years, but starting it from scratch is slow and unreliable, so embers are carried, protected, handed off. Fire means warmth. It means cooked food, which is easier to digest and provides more energy. It means safety through the night. Predators don't like it. Losing the fire is a genuine problem. After that, food. Not breakfast as we understand it. More accurately, the search for whatever is available. The group splits up based on what they're doing. This is not chaos. There is an understood division, though it's far more flexible than we once assumed. Foraging, gathering plant foods, roots, fruits, seeds, insects, eggs, shellfish, is often done by multiple members of the group, both men and women. Hunting large game is more selective, usually smaller subgroups of men, though this is not a universal rule across all populations. The foragers move out. This is not a leisurely walk. They are scanning constantly, reading tracks, watching the behavior of birds, listening for sounds that don't belong, knowledge of the local environment, built up over years, passed down through generations, is the difference between eating and not eating. A good forager knows which roots are edible and which ones will make you sick, which berries are ripe, where to find water when the obvious sources are dry. This knowledge is not written down anywhere. It lives in people, and when people die without passing it on, it disappears. By midday, in a hot climate, movement often slows. This is practical, not lazy. Travelling in extreme heat burns energy you can't afford to lose. Animals seek shade. So do people. This is often when social life happens. Grooming, conversation, rest. Children play close to camp. Older members of the group sit together. And this is where something important happens that we don't always credit to early humans. They talk. Language at this point is real, not fully modern language as we speak it today. There's ongoing debate about exactly how complex it was. But communication is rich enough to describe the past, plan for the future, share information, tell stories and warn others about danger. This is not grunting. This is people, sitting in the shade, exchanging information that helps the whole group survive. Elders pass knowledge to younger people. Not in formal lessons, just in conversation. How to read animal behavior, where the dry season watering holes are. What happened last time the group moved south. These conversations are the original library. Toolmaking also happens here, in the downtime. Stone tools, hand axes, scrapers, points, require skill. You don't just pick up a rock and bang it. Flint knapping, the process of shaping stone by striking it in precise ways, takes years to learn properly. A skilled toolmaker is valuable to the group, and the tools themselves are not disposable. A good blade gets maintained, resharpened, and carried across vast distances. In the afternoon, the hunters who went out in the morning may still be tracking. Large game hunting at this stage in human history is mostly what's called persistence hunting. We are not fast animals. A deer, an antelope, even a zebra will outrun any human alive over a short distance. But we have an unusual physical advantage. We can run for a very long time without stopping. We sweat efficiently. We breathe while we run. Most quadrupeds can't do that. They overheat. So hunters follow an animal, sometimes for hours, at a pace just fast enough that the animal can't fully rest. Eventually the animal collapses from heat exhaustion. Then it's killed with a spear. This is not exciting in the movie sense. It's grinding, physically demanding, often unsuccessful. A failed hunt means the group relies on whatever the foragers brought back, which is usually enough, and this is important, because plant foods make up the majority of calories for most hunter-gatherer groups. Meat is significant, but it is not the primary food source for most populations. The persistent image of early humans as dedicated carnivores is, largely, a myth. When a hunt is successful, everything changes. Large game means more food than the group can eat immediately in some cases, and the logistics of butchering, carrying, and processing the animal are immediate and critical. Every part of the animal has a use. Bones for marrow, hides for warmth or shelter material. Fat is particularly prized because it's calorie-dense and harder to come by than lean meat. There is no waste. Waste is a luxury that doesn't exist here. Not every day is a good day. Injury is a constant risk. A twisted ankle on uneven ground. A cut from a flint tool that gets infected. A snake bite. Childbirth. A fall. Without antibiotics, without surgery, without sterile conditions, injuries that seem minor to us can be fatal. Infections kill. Broken bones that don't heal correctly leave people permanently impaired. And yet, this is striking, we find evidence of care. Ancient skeletons with healed injuries that would have required prolonged recovery. People who survived serious trauma, which means other people kept them alive through it. Fed them, protected them. Whatever image we have of early human life as ruthless and survival of the fittest at the individual level, it doesn't match the physical evidence. Groups took care of their injured members. That too is deeply human. Other groups are another source of tension. Resource conflict is real. When territory overlaps or when food becomes scarce, encounters between groups can become violent. There is archaeological evidence for prehistoric conflict. Injuries consistent with weapons, mass graves, fortified campsites. Early humans were not peaceful in some universal sense. Violence existed, but it was not constant. Most of the time, groups avoided each other or interacted cautiously, and sometimes they traded, exchanged partners, formed alliances. The social politics of these small groups were genuinely complex. Climate is the background pressure to all of this. Africa during this period is not stable. Glacial cycles are shifting rainfall patterns. Lakes appear and disappear over centuries. Grasslands become desert. The groups that survive are the ones that can adapt, move when they need to, change what they eat, learn new environments. Flexibility is survival. By evening, the group comes back together. Food is shared, not always equally, and not always without tension, but shared. This is one of the consistent features of hunter-gatherer societies that anthropologists observe. Food sharing is widespread. Hoarding is socially punished. A hunter who keeps large game to himself loses status fast. The group's survival depends on a degree of cooperation that doesn't tolerate extreme selfishness. The fire burns, people eat, children fall asleep close to adults. In cold climates, bodies are pressed together for warmth. There is no concept of privacy as we understand it. The group is the unit. Individual space is minimal. At night, around the fire, stories. This is not decoration. Stories are technology. They are how abstract information gets transmitted, how moral lessons get taught. how group identity gets reinforced. We know from studying modern hunter-gatherer groups that storytelling is a core evening activity, and that the best storytellers hold a kind of elevated status in the group. Being good at conveying information that matters, knowledge about animals, about terrain, about how to behave, is an evolutionary advantage. Stories are not a luxury, they're infrastructure. And then sleep. Often in two phases, a period of sleep, then a period of quiet wakefulness in the night, then sleep again. This pattern appears in historical records and may reflect our natural biology before artificial light changed everything. Tomorrow will be largely the same, and the day after that. Not all of the humans alive during this period made it. Some groups died in place when the climate shifted and they couldn't move fast enough. Some were absorbed into neighbouring populations through interbreeding, which is why modern humans carry traces of Neanderthal DNA, Denisovan DNA. We didn't just replace them, we overlapped with them, shared space with them, in some cases had children with them. The line between us and the others was not as clean as we tend to imagine. What gave our particular ancestors the edge? That is a question researchers still argue about. Better language, more flexible social structures, superior tool technology that developed more rapidly, symbolic thinking, art, ritual, complex communication that allowed larger and more coordinated groups to form. Possibly all of these things. Possibly luck in some measure. There were moments when our ancestors' numbers dropped catastrophically. Genetic evidence suggests the global population of Homo sapiens may have fallen to just a few thousand individuals at certain points, potentially due to volcanic events, droughts, or disease. A few thousand people, fewer than most small towns today. That's how close it came. The people who survived those bottlenecks are our direct ancestors. Every single person alive on Earth today descends from whoever made it through those narrow passages in our history. There is a temptation to look at early human life and feel like it was simpler. In some ways, yes. The problems were more immediate. You either found food or you didn't. You were safe or you weren't. But simple is not the same as easy. These people solved problems every single day that required intelligence, creativity, cooperation, and endurance. They raised children in environments that were genuinely hostile. They cared for the sick. They built communities out of nothing but trust and shared knowledge. They invented the tools, the language, the social structures, and the ways of thinking that we inherited. We didn't arrive at civilization because of some inevitable upward march of progress. We are here because specific groups of people in specific places made specific choices that worked, and because they were fortunate enough to survive long enough to pass those choices on. The ordinary days those people lived through, the early mornings, the long hunts, the fires kept alive, the stories told at night, those days are not separate from our history. They are our history. They are what we are made of. So the next time a day feels hard, and some days genuinely are, it's worth knowing that the instinct to get up anyway, to keep moving, to take care of the people around you, is one of the oldest things about us. It got us here. It's been working for a very long time. That's what early humans actually did all day. Not the myth, not the movie version, the real thing. Ordinary, difficult, deeply human days. If you found this interesting, or if it gave you something to think about, a like goes a long way. It helps more people find this kind of content. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe to Human Origins. We cover human history the way it actually happened. Complicated, close run, and worth understanding.